include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the middle of the African bush. This is the Sabi Sands, and those are some warthogs, and this is Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to a wonderfully green Djuma private game reserve since I was last here. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have my very good friend and fellow partner in crime, Brian Joubert, the thumb as well there. It's a very green thumb, and that's quite apt since we're in a wonderful green setting as summer sets in here in the African bushveld. But just for those of you who might not know, who've only joined us in the last couple of weeks that I have not been here, when Brian and I get together, we are known as the Killer Bees. And that's because we find all the killer sightings. Now, a little birdie, actually it wasn't a little birdie, it was my good friend Ryan, has told me that after morning drive this morning, there were apparently some wild dogs heading in this direction. Now, wild dogs are my favorite animals, so I'm going to go see if we can find their footprints, or even better, find the puppies snoozing in the shade. There's also a report of a female leopard right up in the sort of northwestern corner, coming through from Siwambili into Djuma, so we're definitely going to go have a look. Ooh, and one of the things I do love about summer is the birding, and this is not one of our migrants and vagrants who comes to visit us. This is one of the birds we have all year round, and it is still absolutely magnificent. And just because I think you guys have not been being tested, I don't know if people have been keeping up your knowledge while I've been away, it's quiz time. And what bird is that? Now have a look. A very distinct head shape and a very bright orange eye, and that is the diagnostic feature. Now remember, this is live, so I want you to tell me live what bird this is, and you can do that by emailing questions at WildEarthTV or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Oh, and looking a bit bedraggled, probably molting, getting rid of some of that winter warmth, that winter fluff, as we get into the proper heat of the African summer. It's 92 Fahrenheit today, 33 Celsius, but relatively humid, Brian, wouldn't you say? And it's almost like there's a storm in the air. Hopefully it'll come and deluge on us, but after the live safari, of course. We're going to keep making our way towards Impala Plains, where the rumour of the African painted wolf and their tracks coming across will be. Now, of course, I'm sure there's been a lot of discussion about when will be the first Impala lamb. If I remember correctly, and if you guys want to remind me, I think it was the 13th of November. Last year, and it was the Killer Bees who saw it. So will the Killer Bees be the first to find an Impala lamb this year? But there's some Impalas there, all looking quite preggers. But the other thing is, I think we might find there's quite a few stillborn lambs this year. Even though it has rained, it has been the driest year on record, so since 1902, and coming up ahead is some of the animals that have really suffered during this drought, and with them suffering, it has meant that incredible Nkuhumas have been kept fat and happy. And here we go, there's a little herd of African buffalo or Cape buffalo. And very exciting, we have a school drive. Yay, welcome guys. Glenwood and Windsor Oaks in Virginia Beach are joining us. So looking forward to having you on our live drive. I'm just going to go a bit forward. I think there's a few more buffalo around the corner. And now, it's amazing. They're already picking up conditions since I was last here with a little bit of green flush. They're by no means in great nick. Funny looking. Oh yeah, a little buffalo cow. Okay, let's have a look. There seem to be a few more around the corner. Maybe we'll get lucky enough to see a big daddy buffalo with massive horns, and we're going to show you the difference between the male and female buffalo, because it's quite easy when you know what to look for. So for those of you who are guessing about that eagle, you are spot on correct. Those who said the brown snake eagle, that incredibly wonderful orange eyes, very diagnostic feature, also the very upright body position. Okay, hello buffaloes. We've got a little juvenile in front of us. Oh, a brave juvenile giving us playing chicken. He won. We had to stop. Hey, little one. So even though it might look like a cow, and they are quite separate genetically from cows that we know, that we farm, and they split a couple of million years ago. Very important animal in the bush. Not only is it a big mobile lawnmower, it's also a mobile fertilizing machine. Especially nice big herds. This looks to be quite a sizable herd. They're quite spread out though. Now, always look carefully when you're looking at buffalo for a very cool bird called an oxpecker. And what he does is he eats any ticks and other parasites that might be on the buffalo. I'm not seeing any here. Thought I heard one. Let's go forward a little bit. Let's see if we win the chicken game. But now, guys, there at school, isn't this amazing? You're going on a live African safari while you're in your classroom. So please send me as many questions as possible. I'd love to hear from you. Oh, there's buffaloes everywhere. We're surrounded. Okay, so I'm looking for some wild dogs and maybe a leopard, so we're going to leave these buffaloes for now. While we do that, I'm not the only person driving around the bush trying to find all the incredible creatures for you, so let's go meet Jamie.
Hello, and a very special and warm welcome to all of the kids at Glenwood Elementary and Windsor Oaks Primary School. It is lovely to have you all on board. My name is Jamie, and behind me sits a gentleman called Dave. Now, Dave's quite shy, aren't you, Dave?
Yes, I am.
Very shy. So probably all you're ever going to see of Dave is his hand, but what's happening is happening right here in real life on a place called Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is right in South Africa. Now, on a hot afternoon, because bear in mind we're in the middle of summer here in South Africa, a hot afternoon like this afternoon where it is 92 degrees Fahrenheit here, it's always a really very good idea to come through to the Waterhole to see what we can see. And let's see what is at a waterhole called Buffelshoek. Oh, I see one thing already. Here we go. This is my first time visiting Buffelshoek Dam, or Buffelshoek Waterhole, in almost 2 weeks, and look at all of that, and look who's here. What do you think that is? That, lying off in the distance, is a hippopotamus, and it's not just a hippopotamus, but look at that. He's got two very cheeky, what we call terrapins. So they're not turtles, they're terrapins, and they are sitting on the back of the hippopotamus, just enjoying some time to warm up after their swim. Now, there you go, one stretching. Everybody wave to the terrapin. Look, it's waving at you. The one at the back's waving. Everybody wave back to the terrapin. So, Timothy and Tina, the terrapins, are using the hippopotamus to just have a break from their swim. Catherine, if we take a bit of a further look, you want to know what is one of the most common animals that we see. And if we look on the opposite side of Buffelshoek Dam, we've got a herd of what's known as Impala, which is a type of antelope. Now, an Impala is hands down the most numerous antelope that we get in this particular area. There are thousands and thousands of them in this particular spot. So bear in mind, we're driving around in a wilderness area that is bigger than some of the small countries in the world, so bigger even than the country of Wales in the United Kingdom. This is the animal that we probably, at least the mammal, that we see most commonly. And what's amazing about this is very, very soon, all of the impala females are going to start giving birth. So there's going to be even more little impala wandering around. So that's the animal we probably see the most of in terms of mammals. We also see lots and lots of birds. And to be honest, the animal that we probably see the most of is a fly. I see there's a few of them flying around Dave at the moment on these hot and sweaty afternoons. There's always some of them buzzing around and about. So there's definitely, I've had a few of them fly into my mouth before while I'm talking. So now I'm nervous because it's happened once before. Now that's probably the insect that we see the most of. And mosquitoes. Lots and lots of mosquitoes. And Shannon, you wanted to know, while we talk about animals that we see lots of, you wanted to know if we're going to see any cheetahs. Well, Shannon, this is the joy of the live safari, is that I never know what we're going to see, especially because I've been away on holiday for 2 weeks. So there could be cheetah around the very next corner, and I would have absolutely no idea. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for cheetah, because we could see them here. We're also keeping our fingers crossed for leopard. And I hear a report, because I have my sources. And of course, whenever I come back from a holiday, I always talk to everybody and find out where all of the animals are. I hear that there might even be lions somewhere around here. So that's what we're going to do today, is you're going to help me go and look, while Brent looks for those wild dogs, you're going to help me look for those lions. Let's take one last look at that hippopotamus, because they are fascinating animals, and I don't want to rush off just yet. I want to talk a little bit more about this hippo. Now, at the moment, although you can see lots of water here, South Africa's... Oh, look at the terrapin! It is yawning. I'm not sure if you saw that, but the terrapin obviously finds me very boring. Sorry, terrapin. I'm sorry, Timothy. Am I very boring? Anyway, what I was going to talk about was the fact that South Africa's actually had a terrible time with rainfall. So we're in the middle of a terrible, terrible drought. And that means that for animals like the hippopotamus, life is particularly tough. Means that they've got to try and find during the day, with their sensitive skin, water that is deep enough that they can actually hide away from the harsh African sun, when temperatures here can get well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. You can see that this dam that this hippo's in isn't quite deep enough to cover him. Look at the bubbles. Look carefully where the hippo's ear at the back. Can see the bubbles coming up. That's him breathing out a little bit. So that's coming from the hippopotamus. And he can't breathe underwater, he's just breathing out a little bit. And every 5 minutes or so, he's going to have to lift his head up and take a deep breath of air. It's roughly every 5 minutes. And he looks big and slow, but these animals are actually amazingly powerful. Oh, look, our terrapin's having another stretch. Remember, I said it's not a turtle, it's a terrapin, and that's because a turtle only lives in water, so it only ever swims and it only comes out onto land when it's time to lay eggs, whereas a terrapin spends most of its time in the water, but it can also walk on land. So it's kind of got this weird combination between flippers and feet that you saw waving at you earlier. Oh, look at that! Amazing, the sandpipers are back. Here we go. Lovely little bird digging in the mud, looking for whatever it can find. Now, while we've seen this little sandpiper digging using its probing beak, Daniel, you wanted to know, to go back through to the hippo. You wanted to know whether or not, or how fast a hippo can go. Nathan, sorry, it was Nathan's question. Nathan, you wanted to know how fast a hippo can go, and the answer is very, very fast. So it's important to remember that as human beings with our two puny legs, we can't outrun anything here. And although a hippo has short legs and a big fat body, and they really do have quite big fat bodies, they weigh nearly over 4,000 pounds, they can still cover, now imagine this, I want you to try when you go outside after this live safari to trace out 13 big steps, so 13 meters or the equivalent of 13 meters, and they can cover that in 1 second. That's how fast they can run. So close to, I would say about 40 feet per second that they can run when they really want to. And I've been chased by a hippo before. I know just how fast they can move. And they can run up and they can run down. They might not be able to jump, but they can certainly run up a hill and down a hill. This terrapin looks like it's about to slide off the back of the hippopotamus. Now, usually on a normal summer's day with lots of rain, this dam would be full of water. This water would be full, and we'd see lots and lots of hippopotamus in it. And Greta, you wanted to know if hippo are territorial. Usually not too badly. So what will happen is you'll get a pod of hippos, females. There'll usually be 1 or 2 big males in a big section of water, but the big dominant males will go and mark out a territory. But in a situation like this where there's hardly any water, you'll find that the hippo are far grumpier than normal. And in fact, they fight a lot more. It's not uncommon to see them with injuries, with scratches on their backs, with holes in them, from fighting with other hippopotamus, just because they're so stressed by the lack of space and the lack of water that's around, that they get cross with each other and even cross with other animals. And we've seen many times hippo often running forward to chase other animals away when they come and try and drink. And that's not their fault. It's because they're scared, they're stressed, and they're very, very hot. He seems quite peaceful now, though. A hippo always feels more comfortable in water. Oh, talking about hippopotamus, often they... I'm just laughing at the geese are making such a noise at each other. Calling to each other. You might have geese where you are. Perhaps not this type, though. This is an Egyptian goose. Sorry, Corby, while we look along the water's edge and we look at these geese, you wanted to know if we have crocodiles here. And the answer is yes, absolutely we could. Crocodiles can walk long distances on land, and whilst I haven't seen a crocodile in this dam before, or in this waterhole before, I would say it's entirely possible that there could be one. Look at them, they're thirsty, they're drinking. The male at the back and the female in the front. A pair of Egyptian geese. So yes, we do get lots of crocodile in the greater Kruger National Park area. There's not too many at the moment because of the drought. Making quack, quack, quacking noises. Beautiful. This is why we always come through to a waterhole on a hot afternoon to see what we can find in the shade of a big tree. Right, well, we've spent, I think, enough time at the waterhole. I think it's time for us to go and look for those lions. So while I go and search for those lions, let's jump on board with Brent and find out how his search for wild dogs is going.
So we found their footprints, but they're heading straight north. We're going to keep checking where they go. I do have a sneaky suspicion they might leave our traverse area, and if that's the case, we're going to go look for some leopard. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to find one or both. So I'm very excited. It's my first drive back in the bush. So hi, Devon. Devon would like to know, what is the most rare animal we see? That's a really good question. So African wild dogs, although we see them quite regularly, they are one of the rarest animals on earth. Now, as dog species go, because they are part of the big dog family, the canid family, there's only 3,500 wild dogs left in the whole of the world. So they're very rare. Probably after that, there's lots of little things that aren't so rare in terms of their numbers, but they're rare to see, like Arathusa, which basically means an earth pig, and he eats termites, or a scaly anteater, which is a pangolin, which is like a big version of an armadillo with plates on there. Okay, let's see. So one of the ways we find animals is to look at the footprints. So this is exactly what we're going to do, and sometimes it can be quite difficult. Hi, Catherine. Catherine would like to know what my favorite animal is. Well, Catherine, it's the wild dog, because they're just so exciting. They are very, very mobile. I'm going to try to see if I can find you a clear footprint of one. They might have cut through the bush here, so we're going to loop around ahead. So Catherine, the reason I like wild dogs so much is because they've got a really, really... What is that down there, Brian? It is a stump!
Oh, wonderful.
A stump! So quite often while you're driving through the bush, we think we spot something, but we see lots of tree lions and leopard bushes and wild dog stumps or sticks, but it's always worth checking every one, because maybe 1 in 20 times it's a leopard or a lion or a wild dog. Sorry about that, Catherine. So as I was saying, they've got really incredible social structures. So they're a very social animal, and they hunt as a unit, and they're really difficult to keep up with. I think that's maybe why I like them, because it's a big challenge, because they move very quickly. Brian's much better at maths than I am, so 60 kilometers an hour in miles, Brian? No, other way around. 60 kilometers an hour must be about 30 miles? 30 miles an hour. Now they can do 30 miles an hour for running, remember, for about 8 miles, 9 miles. They can just keep it going. So quite often that's how they catch their prey. They just run until the animals are really tired. They are what you call coursing predators. So they're not stalking predators like a lion or leopard that sneaks up to things and sneak up to things. Wild dogs will just run through and chase things. Now Sam's wondering, are they loose dogs? They are not at all, Sam. So they separated from dogs about 1.4 million years ago. They've got different types of teeth. They've got teeth that are capable of cutting and ripping, whereas dogs have got teeth for holding. They also have an extra toe that normal dogs don't have, and they look color-wise very different to dog. So the scientific name for a wild dog is Lichen pictus, which means painted wolf. They're wonderful splotchy colors. I don't have a picture of them with me, but hopefully we won't have to show you a picture. We'll find one live. And while we do keep searching for the African wild dog, Jamie has got the tallest mammal in the world.
I haven't found the lions just yet, but as Brent says, I have got the tallest mammal in the world, and what a spectacular animal it is. And look what he's doing. He's scratching his head on the tree, rubbing it up and down. When you're a giraffe and you don't have thumbs, but you do have lots of ectoparasites called ticks making you itchy, there's nothing like having a jolly good scratch against a tree. Don't go. Don't disappear, mister. It's a massive bull giraffe, or a male giraffe. Isn't he beautiful? In the prime of his life, well over, I would say, at least 15 feet tall. It's amazing how such a big animal can disappear. Don't go. Oh no, I think he's going to vanish from us. He's disappeared behind the trees. This is devastating, Dave. Got him. Yeah, there we go. Ha-ha. A big male giraffe. Look, something's happened to his ear. There's a little funny piece out of it. He's scratched it, or it's become infected. Now, from that vantage point, that giraffe can see far into the bushes, and for the most part, there's not much out here that's capable of hunting giraffe except a pride of lions, which is exactly what we were looking for. Now, I would love to stay and talk a little bit more about this giraffe, but he is walking away, and I've only got limited time to spend with you, and I'm sure you all really, really want to see some lions. Now, come with me, let's go. Apparently, they're just up ahead of us on the road. Now there's a difficult question, because Amaya would like to know what is the smallest animal that we get out here. Well, because animals such a broad heading, that includes insects and things, and of course we get things like mosquitoes and tiny, tiny little microscopic insects. But if we talk about mammals, one of the smallest mammals we get is something called a bushveld gerbil, which is a type of mouse almost. It's a rodent. It's a type of rodent. We also get things called elephant shrews. Now, when you're finished with this, you should have a look and see what an elephant shrew looks like. It's like a little mouse, but it's got a really long nose, which is so, so cute. And that's obviously where it gets its name from, because an elephant has a big swinging trunk in front of its face. So that's where the elephant shrew gets its name from. So those are some of the small mammals that we see, but we also get things like frogs. There's a frog actually that lives in my cupboard, and I've just noticed that that frog is still living in my cupboard, even though I've been away for 2 weeks. The frog stays there. So we get frogs, we get fishes living in the dams, we get all sorts of things. And yes, Greta, we do indeed. And in fact, that is why I was so happy to find that frog in my cupboard today after being away for 2 weeks, because it meant that there probably aren't any snakes living in my clothes that I left behind. Do you want to know if we get snakes? We do get snakes, lots of different types. Snakes are actually one of my favorite animals. Now, hands up if you're afraid of a snake. If you think snakes are really, really scary. And that's a good thing in a way. It's right to be cautious of snakes because they're... Hello, Kudu. Here's another beautiful antelope. Sorry, I know we're looking at these beautiful creatures. It's called a kudu. Kudu, kudu. That's a young male. You can see his horns growing up there. But let me just finish off chatting about snakes quickly, because we did start talking about it, and it's important. It's important to remember that snakes are more afraid of you than you are of them, and they're actually really fascinating creatures. They're just as interesting as these beautiful kudu. And whilst it's okay to be a little bit scared of them, it's always important to remember that we should respect them as much as we'd respect an antelope, just like these beautiful creatures. Okay, come. I know there's kudu, there's just so much to look at, but I'm sure you want to see the lions. And we better race forward. Oh, Evan, you've asked me that really difficult question. You want to know what my favorite animal is. And it's really, really hard to choose, Evan. I find it particularly difficult, and it kind of depends on the mood that I'm in. But to be honest, Evan, one of my favorite animals is a rhinoceros, and in particular, a black rhino. I find them absolutely amazing animals. They're actually officially known as the hook-lipped rhino, because they've got a kind of, their top lip is a hook. Like that. And it hooks around the leaves of the trees that they eat. Then I also really like spending time with elephants, and I also really love spotted hyena, but it's so hard to choose, Evan. I couldn't begin to tell you. Dave, do you have a favorite animal?
It's difficult.
It is difficult, isn't it? An elephant. Elephants are magic. They are so intelligent. Evan, what's your favorite animal? What's your favorite animal that you like of all of the different animals out here? Because, of course, I'm just talking about African animals, but there's things like dolphins and whales, wolves, bears. I've never seen a bear, and I really want to. Right. The lions apparently were somewhere here. Help me look. We're looking for a flash of tawny, that brown color. Everybody help me look for those animals. They've got to be somewhere here. Now, Maya, you want to know what is a dangerous animal out here. Dave, are they this way or that way?
I think
This way, good. And Maya, you want to know what's dangerous? Well, all wild animals are potentially dangerous. And it's really important to remember that we live in their home and not the other way around. And so what that means is that we've got to be very, very respectful of the different animals that we get out here. Elephants can be dangerous. They're much, much bigger, much heavier than us. Lions can be dangerous. They're obviously predators, but then again, they're far more afraid of us during the day than we are of them. But everything has the potential to be dangerous because everything just wants to survive. It just wants to live. And we've just got to make sure that we don't impact the animals in any way and that we're very respectful, because nothing out here wants to kill us. Nothing out here wants to hurt us. It's just a matter of us living in their home and giving them the respect that they deserve. Where are these lions? I heard tell that they were lying up somewhere in the road, which is exciting stuff. Let's go a little bit faster because I know that you're reaching the end of your class. I don't want you to miss out. Sam? talking of the different animals that we get to see, you want to know if we get hares in South Africa. I'm going to guess and say they're right here. And the answer is yes, absolutely, we do get hares. Right. I hope you're all... Oh, bears. Sorry, was it bears or hares? Was it bears? We definitely don't get bears in South Africa. Not hares, bears. No, we don't get bears in South Africa. We do get vultures. And with vultures, often is a kill. And in front of us, I think we have finally found the lions. I hope you're all very excited. See if you can spot them. This is a whole pride of lions. They even have little babies with them. I hope you're very, very excited. This is wonderful. So here's where it's important. Remember what we were talking about with respect and the fact that the animals are dangerous? I'm going to be very, very cautious, make sure that I'm going nice and slowly, watching them all of the time to make sure that I'm not scaring them in any way. Hello, gorgeous. Look at that. A whole pride of lions lying up in the shade. And what beautiful creatures they are. Isn't this exciting? We might not have found the cheetah that you asked about earlier, but we have found one. How many lions do you think you can count? Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Tiny little baby at the back there. Now, I happen to know that this particular pride of lions has 8 little babies with them. So 8 little lion cubs. There's one there, hiding behind the tree. Look how fast they're breathing. They're very, very hot, so they're actually panting. The rest of them are clever little creatures. They're hiding in the back, underneath the branches of the trees. Nice thick green tree to give them shade. Now, a lion can't sweat like you and I can, so in order to cool themselves down, just like your dogs and cats, well, more your dogs might do actually, they have to pant in order to cool down. And that's what they're doing at the moment. There you can see she's breathing, panting. Now, these are truly spectacular animals, and it's hard for you to tell just how big they really are. And I can tell you that they are much, much bigger than your average house cat. Maybe some of you have seen a lion before in a zoo, but these are truly wild lions, and these females probably weigh close to 300 pounds in terms of weight. So they are absolutely massive, pure muscle. Look at that fierce, intent gaze. Look, she's looking up into the sky. It's because there's vultures flying around, I think. I think they might have a kill somewhere here. Isn't she beautiful? This lioness is called Amber Eyes, and this whole pride is called the Nkuhuma Pride. Now, we're not seeing any boys with these lions because that's actually, you might have watched The Lion King, maybe you think that that's how lion prides work, but a lion pride is actually just females and cubs. That is what a lion pride consists of. And then the males will actually move about in a territory that will include the territories of several different females. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Hi, thanks so much. Cheers, guys. Cool, thanks so much. Sorry, everybody, just chatting to somebody else. They're beautiful, aren't they? And these lionesses are absolutely incredible. They've got 8 growing cubs to feed as well as themselves. And of course, they don't get fed here. They have to hunt and catch their own food, which they do incredibly successfully. They manage to hunt and catch things like antelope, zebra, buffalo, all kinds of things. Right now, though, they're just taking the opportunity to have a little bit of an afternoon nap. This pride is called the Nkuhuma Pride. That's a difficult name to say, isn't it? It's a very difficult name to say, so we have to all try it together. Nkuhuma. And it's from the local language here, that means the brown ivory tree, because they were found in the shade of a brown ivory tree once before. So this is the Nkuhuma Pride. And look at their gorgeous little cubs. Can you believe that you're getting to watch lion cubs right here and right now? Playing. Gorgeous. Hello, little face peeking out from behind the branches. Well, unfortunately, although maybe fortunately, because I'm really glad that we did get to have a look at the lions, but unfortunately it's time to say goodbye to Windsor Woods. So from myself and the entire Safari Live team, and Dave, of course, is going to give you a big thumbs up for all of your wonderful questions that you sent through. It's time for us to say goodbye. Have a fantastic school day further, and I hope that you're on the back of our safari vehicle soon. Bye-bye. And back for the rest of our audience, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. I know how much it means, well, I'm sure you all understand how much it means to have kids watching this at school and be able to share in these incredible moments. Now, I'm going to do some repositioning, have a chance to catch up with one of maybe my favorite pride of lions. In the meantime, let's head across to Brent, who's found something stripy.
Well, we can just make out a stripe or three through the now thickening greenery that is the Cambretian woodland here on the crest. So, lovely herd of zebras. Not the best view we've had of them, but there are lots of zebras around at the moment, taking advantage of that green thush. Okay, let's keep going. So, wild dogs apparently did a big loopity-loop from the tracks, and they've gone back to the west. So I'm heading down to sort of the last area of tracks, see if we've got any luck. Taxon's checking for that female leopard around the gate. So I'm just trying to see if we can get an update from Arathusa. So one of the great things about coming back from leave is you get to reacquaint yourself with everything. So it's amazing to see how much it's greened up since I've been gone, and it is so much fun to just drive around and soak in the wonderful African atmosphere. Now, quite lucky that when I'm on holiday, and I get to stay in the bush quite often as well, so not too bad. And a big thank you for all the welcome backs and the congratulations. We really do appreciate it, and well, exciting year ahead. Now, that's not something we're going to hear quite a long time. Woodlands yet, Brian?
No woodlands.
No woodlands. What date did I say? 16th. 16th or 18th of November, I said. Hello, WildEarthTV, and there's just a... Oh, apparently I said the 31st of October, so I was definitely wrong. Wait, oh, Wildebeest hiding. But the one nice thing with this green flush is we're getting an incredible amount of general game. So zebra, wildebeest, giraffe, breeding herds. What did you spot, mister? Spot as a leopard, I'll be much appreciative. What have you spotted? Are you just being cautious? So this is a wildebeest bull. There's you. Funny looking critters, aren't they? If you have any ponderings, musings, or questions on the blue wildebeest or the blue gnu, you can send them through to us using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or email questions@wildearth.tv. He looks in relatively good nick. Quite an old boy. You can see doesn't quite have the same boss of a buffalo, but you can see how weathered the horns are there, and you can see how he does scrape them against trees as well. You can see the little bits of coloration there. Now, even though they look like they're a cow or related to buffalo, they're not. They're an antelope. They're actually more closely related to hartebeest. Unfortunately, we don't have any hartebeest here. Here we go, mister. Well, let's go have a look a little bit further, see what he might have spotted. Oh, Oh, I'm causing traffic jams, excuse me. Let us just go off. I'm going quite slowly. Hello, the sweet Perry. Where do animals go during the rain? Well, they don't have houses to go into there, so they stay out in the bush. I'm just going to have a quick afternoon meeting. Yeah, there we go. Who's coming down the road? Oh, it's Taxon. I know I've seen Taxi already today, or on the radio at least. I was hoping it was someone from this side. Hello, everyone. Loot. I saw the moving console there where it looks like the cross, but did you check Sydney's?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. I'll try to get an update from these guys exactly where she crossed. So we're just talking about the leopards and where they're maneuvering to and what they're up to. And hopefully, between one of us, we're going to find a leopard. Fingers crossed it's going to be the killer bees. And also, I do enjoy a good bout of birding. So I am keeping my eyes out specifically for cuckoos. Now, I am convinced, and there's no actual good reason why I'm convinced, that this year there's going to be a lesser or Madagascar cuckoo somewhere in this area. Those are really rare cuckoos. The last one I think was seen in the Sabi Sands about 10 years ago, so fingers crossed this is the year. James says we haven't seen a classes cuckoo yet. Well, I did hear one calling earlier, so I will keep my eye out. They are very small, very exquisitely beautiful, bright green and white little birds. Okay. So while I try to find out what's happening in Arathusa, see if there's any shenanigans happening, we're going to go back to Jamie and the incredible Nkuhumas.
That scorpion sting, the worst part was how itchy it was. Are we?
Yes.
Hello. I'm sorry about that. I don't know where my comms have gone at all. They have completely vanished. I did get stung by a scorpion, as you may or may not have gathered. When did we go live, Dave?
Yeah, about 30 seconds ago.
Oh, right. Okay. We did hear that. Cool. So, yes, indeed, I got stung by a scorpion. Neuroplectes, if you really want to know, which is a thick-tailed scorpion. I just want to double-check and see if I've got comms again. Oh, the joys. It's good to be back. Oh, there we go. There we go. It's all working again. So thank you so much to all of you sending through your welcome backs and your congratulations. I really appreciate it. We're very, very grateful, very appreciative, and of course it is lovely to be back in the bush once again. Not that we were far, but to have a chance to see these incredible lions and to see how much the cubs have grown in the 2 weeks that I have been away is a true privilege. I always miss them, you know, whenever we go away. Just to be able to spend that time with them in the way that we have been. And I don't think I have ever spent as much time as we have spent with a Lion Pride as we have with the Nkuhumas. It's just been a truly incredible privilege. Look at them, little bellies up in the air. You guys have got so big. And they're looking good as well, they really are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think number 8 is hiding off in the back there. So all 8 of the cubs are there. And there we go. So Monique in London, sorry, I am struggling to hear your question, so I'm not ignoring you. But Monique, I did get your question coming through. Monique, you wanted to know if the mange looks better to me, and it really does. I was very concerned while I was away. I was scared of what I was coming back to in terms of the changes in the Nkuhuma cubs, but they look absolutely fine. I think that their genetics, the fact that they've been so successful with their hunting, I think this Lion Pride's going to be okay. They're a little bit itchy, and some of them have a few bald patches, but they actually look better to me. Do they look better? I mean, I've been away for 2 weeks, but to me, they actually look better than they did when I left. And one at the back is a little bit more... Yes, you've got a little bit of mange, don't you? That's the one with the floppy ear, the floppy left ear. Hello, gorgeous. And that will probably stay for the rest of its life, or there's a chance that that could stay for the rest of its life. But it really does look better to me, which is, of course, an enormous comfort. And the adults don't seem to be showing any sign of it. I don't know if anybody had noticed any signs of mange while I've been away on the adults. But to me, the adults look absolutely fine. Somebody's missing, though. I've only got 4 females here. I'm not sure who it is. Probably the youngest lioness, if I had to guess. But, of course, I've been so out of the loop. And it's a very strange feeling when you come back from 2 weeks of being away. Everything feels slightly off kilter. I feel terribly rusty, so do excuse me. I've forgotten how to speak words in a coherent manner, but I am going to do my utmost to continue to improve upon that. But you do feel rusty, and you forget, you don't know where all the animals are, and it's just a matter of reacquainting yourselves with the bush. But it's good to see that the Nkuhumas have been doing incredibly well. Everybody looks thoroughly full-bellied. Yes, slightly itchy. The cubs at the back in particular do look slightly itchy, so the mange is still there. For those of you who are new to these live safaris, perhaps you are joining us for the first time. This is a live safari, and this is here in the middle of a vast conservation area known as the Greater Kruger National Park area. So it's an absolutely massive wilderness zone, bigger than certain small countries, 8.5 million acres, 4 million hectares, in terms of size. So it's absolutely massive, and there are lots and lots of animals around this particular area, and lots of lions in this particular part of South Africa. South Africa is very fortunate in that we have a very solid surviving population of wild lions. And what a privilege it is to get to spend time in their lives. And of course, look at you. She's holding the other lioness. That's so sweet. Paws on either side of her. From what I hear, the Nkuhumas have been thoroughly unstoppable while we've been away, catching buffalo after buffalo. I did see a buffalo herd on my way through, and they were looking particularly nervous, probably because they know that they're in an area where the Nkuhumas are. All looking full-bellied. No sign of pregnancy on Amber Eyes, Dave? No, I didn't think so either. When we pulled up and we saw her earlier, so I guess either that pregnancy wasn't successful, or we were mistaken. Perhaps she just had a very large meal of buffalo that particular day. 4 lionesses and their 8 gorgeous cubs. Look at you, panting in the heat of the day. The mange does look better. All right, I'm just really having a closer look. The younger ones, which was to be expected, the younger ones seem to be the worst afflicted. But even they are not nearly as bad as the sticks were. Dave, I have a feeling comms are coming through, but I'm not getting any of them. Sorry, I'm not ignoring your questions. As you know, live... No, what was that? She's testing. I get the ing part. Fiddle with the volume. Sorry, everybody. At least we've got lions to keep us thoroughly entertained. Okay. Haha. There, I heard Kirsty. Hello, Kirsty. It's lovely to hear your voice once again in full, even if you do sound somewhat distorted. Oh, there we go. Kirsty, by the way, is our lovely director, who I have missed along with the rest of the team. So it's lovely to have her voice in our ears once more. And she is the one responsible for feeding through your questions. Hence why it is slightly problematic if I cannot hear her. But I seem to be okay. I think that was okay that time. We'll figure it out as we go along. Hot little cubs. Now, which one's this? Now it's getting really difficult to actually tell the difference between different age groups. Before it was relatively simple. Aww. Going up to say hello to Mom. Or Aunt, maybe. Butting heads gently. No rest for wary moms where cubs are involved. Doing that standard lion greeting of the head rub. And now trying to find a comfortable spot. Are they still lactating, the lionesses? Are they? That's incredible. I'm very, very impressed with them. Maybe that's one of the mothers of the younger set of cubs. It's hard to tell if I can't see her face properly. But that's amazing to see them still suckling. I was relatively certain when I got back there would be very little of that going on.
Jamie's not hearing because Chris just...
What's Kirst asking?
No, I'm not getting any of the comms. I'm getting them.
You getting them? This is devastating. Most devastating. Let me just check and see if it's not my ear. No, it's not my earpiece. Earpiece is working perfectly. Oh, look. Suckling going on. I'm just going to be quiet for a second so we can maybe listen to the sounds of them grumbling at each other and then I can figure out what's going on.
We can link to Brent while we do this.
Okay, well, we do a little bit of a fiddle with our radio comms to see what on earth is going on. Let us jump back on board with Brent because luckily he's out there and hopefully he can hear Kirsty.
Every herd of impala we go past at the moment, I'm just staring intently, trying to see if there's a little baby. Wouldn't it be great to catch an impala birth live on a safari live? Little ones from last year, looking for their next brothers and sisters. We know what glorious fun little impala can be as well when they decide to start playing. And Brian and I are almost hunting impala at the moment, looking for that first baby of the year. Well, hello to James Dungan. Now, of course, I've just got back from leave today, and James is wondering if I had any good safari sightings while I was on leave. Well, yes, indeedy. I had some very good wild dog sightings. We had wild dogs kill an impala and feed off the impala right next to us. And what else did we see that was very nice? Some good bush pig and some incredible rhino sightings at an undisclosed position. But I think one day I must have seen 29 different rhinos, which was very nice. So it sounds like not much happening on Arathusa. It seems those wild dogs have headed south towards Alondolozi. So we're going to leave the area and maybe go do a gander down the southern boundary. Who knows, maybe Queen Karula is going to grace the killer bees with her presence. Remember, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter if you want to ask us any questions or have any comments. It's just so wonderful. There's magnificent skies around at the moment. Massive cumulus clouds building all over the place. Look at that, isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Fluffy marshmallow-like looking clouds there. Those are cumulus clouds. Now, who can tell me the difference between a cumulus cloud and a cumulus nimbus cloud? If you know the answer, pop me an email, questions@WildEarth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. What is the difference between a cumulus cloud and a cumulus nimbus cloud? Oh, Brian. Hello, little one. There we go, a scrub hair. Look at those developed veins on his ears. And you can see how thick they are, and that's because of the heat. And you can see how skinny the ear is. Hold on. Bye-bye, scrub hair. Wild dogs, wild dogs, wild dogs. I was on the wrong radio channel. Tex, I've got the update. I'm on Gowrie Main Junction, Philemons. Okay, so dogs. My favorite animal. Hoppa! Hold on, Brian. Handbrake turn, Brian. Maybe not. Maybe not. No. Maybe not just yet. And for once we happen to be in the right spot for easy, fast driving down main roads. Now, for those of you who might not have been following wild dogs, you have to get there quickly. It's so incredibly easy to lose them. The painted wolf. Yay. What a welcome back. Whee! Can always find another life as a race car driver. I think I'd quite enjoy that, actually. Okay, so they're somewhere around here. Fortunately, we were quite close. Quite often we get the call about wild dogs, and there we go. For once, are they not running? Oh, they're snoozing. Well, we now know what our plan is. We ain't gonna be moving for the next while. So I'm trying to see which pack it is. Looks like 3 dogs, but there's been 2 different packs of 3 dogs recently. There's been a breakaway pack from the Orpin or Impala pack, and there's also been, of course, the 3 survivors of the Lower Sabi. But now you never know who's going to arrive, because all the puppies from the Investec pack and also from the Sands pack and the Toulon pack are now adults, so they are running with the rest of the pack. I can only see 3, Brian. 1, 2, and then the other one was walking off. Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. 3. So, oh, he's laying down now. Let me just move a little bit. Now, oh, there's one little branch in the way, but there we go. This is okay. So this is the new pack. That individual dog has got these very distinct white spots on its side. We can just see the one on his back left leg there. So this is a breakaway from the Impala pack. So these are dispersals. Wouldn't it be fantastic if they met up with the survivors of the Lower Sabi pack? Now, Daniel is wondering why wild dogs are in such low numbers. There's only 3,500 left in the whole of Africa. Now, there's been lots of different reasons. Mostly the biggest threat to wild dogs historically, which is the reason for their numbers to decline so rapidly, was a loss of habitat. They need a massive area. Your average pack of wild dog needs about 120,000 acres to roam. And so there aren't too many areas in Africa left that are that big and has that much space for the wild dogs to roam. The largest and healthiest population of wild dogs in South Africa is the Greater Kruger. And there's only about 200, just over 200 dogs. Now, for it to be a long-term viable breeding population, you need to be around 450. Now, of course, there are other things that also threaten wild dogs, and 2 of the biggest threats to wild dogs at the moment is rabies and canine distemper. Now, being such social animals, all those type of diseases spread through the pack like wildfire. Now, this particular pack has been treated, so they are inoculated. So I did spend a bit of time with Grant, who's a friend of mine. He's in charge of the Endangered Wildlife Trust Wild Dog section for the Lowveld. So fortunately, I'm quite up to date on all that, which packs have had their injections and which ones haven't. It doesn't look like they're too well fed. It is still a bit hot for them to get moving, but with this cloud cover coming in, that could change quite quickly. Now, remember, wild dogs are crepuscular hunters. So crepuscular means they're most active at dusk and dawn. Oh, look at those wonderful big ears. at that. Isn't this just Now, Melinda is wondering, how do wild dogs find meat? Well, Melinda, they are what you call coursing predators, so the opposite to sort of lion and leopard. Oh, mate, not meat. Okay, well, that makes a bit more sense. So, Melinda, what happens, you have dispersals from big packs like this. So, generally, when a wild dog pack gets to over 20, 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 individuals of that pack will disperse, and they'll keep moving and keep calling till they find another 2 or 3 unrelated dogs, and that's how they form the new pack. And quite often they can cover incredibly massive distances from their natal pack. Some dogs have been recorded doing over 300 kilometers in search of new packs. Oh, while the dogs are sleeping, Brian, we never get a chance to get these guys. On the ground next to us here is a massive Pompilidae spider hunting wasp. He is a beastie. You do not want to be stung by that thing. Now, it's a big female by the looks of things, and I was hoping she might be digging a hole. I'm trying to see. Can you see if she's carrying anything, Brian? Doesn't look like it. Now, when you see a spider hunting wasp on the ground like this, she's quite often looking for her hole. So, and she's probably stung and caught a whole bunch of spiders or caterpillars as well. And then she lays a single egg in each of them, and then digs a little hole and buries them. And it's always amazed me, because sometimes it always looks like they've forgotten where they dug their hole, and it can take them a bit of time to find the hole again. He's coming too close, eh? Oh, magic colors. I mean, that metallic sheen on those wings is spectacular. Now, no, this one isn't that. So some of them have have orange antennae. This one doesn't. This, if I remember correctly, is the largest of the spider hunting wasps. And it's now too close. We can't see where she's going. But I will keep an eye on her. If I see her pop out again and start digging. Okay. Let's just maybe move a little bit. Now, Emma's wondering, are wild dogs in danger of being poached? Not specifically targeted, Emma, but what can happen is they pick up snares that are set for other creatures. That is quite common. You often actually find wild dogs with snares, especially once they move out of the protected areas and into community areas, into farming areas while they're searching, especially these dispersal packs. But fortunately, if we ever see a wild dog with a snare, we're very quick to call the vets and get it removed. See if we can have a look. I think this dog is going to be one of my favorites if they hang around. It's got those very distinct white spots on the other side, but now it's moving back to the rest of the pack. Oh, stood on a thorn. Whoopsie. Get that thorn out. Just trying to find you a gap through the bush here. I suppose that'll do for now till he settles down. Oh, thorn has been retrieved. Now I just want to have a check. Yes, it's a male dog with these very distinct white markings. And now, just before I went on leave on last time, here we go. This is the same pack that chased and nearly caught young Hosana, Karula's male cub, who's doing a bit of greeting. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, that we're going to be here for the greeting ceremony that they do before they get up to go hunting. So when, Brian? There we go. Now, even though they do look like dogs, they, as I said, they split from domestic dogs over 1 million years ago, and they've got different dentition. So they've got, their teeth have a very sort of almost, it's invisible really when you look at it now, but a slightly serrated edge. Now, looking at the way they're lying, it's not so apparent now with the dispersal animals, but if they happen to join up with another dispersal pack, it's a very, very fascinating thing. The success of the pack is almost it's visibly determined whether that pack is going to be successful, judging on how close the animals lie together. So a new dispersal pack where the animals lie very close together is generally going to form and become a successful long-term surviving pack. If you get a dispersal pack where they lie quite far from each other, it is often the fact then that pack will actually probably break out and those animals will continue dispersing. Now, in this case, when you've got 3 related dogs from the same pack, it's not such a big deal if they lie a little bit further away from each other. But if they were with 3 other unrelated dogs, how close the unrelated dogs, only really in the first 6 months of the pack being formed, how close they lie to each other is a very good indicator on whether that pack is going to be successful in the long term or not. So looking at them, as I said, they don't look like they ate too much this morning. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be on a crepuscular hunt with the African wild dog in not too long. Remember, this is live. We're with the most endangered canid in southern Africa, live from the Sabi Sands Game Reserve in the beautiful country of South Africa. Now, Matthew's wondering if I've got any tips for tracking or following wild dogs. Well, today the tip is follow taxon. But normally, dogs can be very difficult to track because they can move so quickly. So the best thing to do is actually try and follow them in multiple vehicles, and you just try to bounce around each other. Even when you're following them, when you've actually found them, keeping up with them is a problem. So a lot of guesswork, trying to think like the animal, get into that position where they're most likely to go. But again, with dogs, it's they can bombshell in any minute. If a duiker jumps up and they're gone after that. But for following wild dogs, be prepared to bend the odd steering arm. Probably the best way to follow wild dogs would be in a helicopter. This is definitely not one of the more commonly seen animals. And there seems to be a bit of a shift in wild dog population dynamics in our part of the Sabi Sands. If we think about last year, we saw the Investec pack and the Sabi Sands pack regularly. The Sands pack, or Toulon pack, is now way down south in the reserve, and we haven't seen them in ages. The Investec pack, Dend and Kruger, seems to be spending a lot more time in the Manuleti, but they have come close to our northern boundary, but they haven't popped in for a visit that I am aware of. But we do have these 2 new packs, or 2 new dispersal packs. They haven't seemed to have met up yet. This breakaway is from the Ingala pack, which comes from the Timbavati, and of course the lower Sabi survivors. Now, the lower Sabi survivors is quite a sad but spectacular story. So canine distemper got into the pack, wiped out the vast majority of them. I think there were 21 dogs and only 3 survived. But the positive of that is if those dogs have survived that, they are going to carry quite a lot of immunity to distemper. So in terms of their genetics going forward, especially if they're going to mate with a pack that's already been inoculated, could be very, very good for the future sort of wild dog populations. Now, it's amazing how this is completely changed in the last 10 years. You no longer need to dart to inoculate an animal. You can actually, if you get a carcass, you can lace it that full of pills, and you can inoculate against rabies and distemper. So it's become a lot cheaper and a lot easier. Now, it doesn't work for all animals, but for the dogs in particular, the new drugs seem to be very effective. Now, we can see the sun is starting to go down a little bit. We can see the colours starting to form in the sky there. Lots of cloud cover around, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to get rain, Brian. What do you think? Dubious. Maybe this evening. It is always special to spend times with wild dogs, or any African animal for that matter. Even when they are sleeping, look at that. Now we're looking through to the foothills of the Drakensberg Mountains there. And you can see, generally an area that would always traditionally get quite a lot more rain than we would here in the Sabi Sands, as you head up towards the high-fault grasslands. It is quite a pretty picture, almost like a watercolor. Well done to Janet, who's got the cloud quiz correct. I asked what is the difference between a cumulus cloud and a cumulus nimbus cloud. Nimbus means rain, so it's a cumulus cloud that's raining. So well done, Janet. Now, these summer skies and summer clouds do provide some spectacular evenings and vistas. But for me, there's nothing more spectacular than the smelly, sleepy African wild dog.
Not too smelly.
Not too smelly, but I think we're upwind of them. But while we sit here with the African wild dogs, of course, we're not the only car out there, and Jamie is still with the incredible Nkuhumas.
How incredible is it that the wild dog has decided to come out and greet Brent on his first day back? And in the meantime, we've got a moment to spend with these incredible lions, looking thoroughly peaceful, and I'm probably going to have to make space at some point for some of the other vehicles to come and join and enjoy this particular moment. But for now, we have the time to just spend a little bit of time with them and enjoy their company. Oh, look at these little faces. I cannot get over how much they've grown. You can still see the youngest set, though. This, I think, is one of the youngest ones. I think. Well, maybe it's not that easy. I need to see them all standing up next to each other to really keep track. Oh, big yawn. That is the oldest female of the Nkuhumas, so the mother of the middle set of cubs. So for our new viewers, there's actually 3 different age groups here. The oldest, the middle, and the youngest. And they're obviously by 3 different mothers. The lioness that's yawning at the moment, she's the mother of the middle set of cubs. She also happens to be the oldest of the lionesses. And you can actually tell, if we have a look at her, if she yawns for us again, which would be very convenient, she's got a chipped canine tooth. And generally that's the best way of aging a lion, is to actually have a look at the condition of their teeth, the wear and the tear, because obviously their wild lifestyle takes its toll, and particularly on essentially their tools of their trade, which are their massive canines. She's also got a very, very dark nose, and there is a tendency, not always, you've got to be careful with this, because of course it is genetic and it changes depending from lion to lion. There is a tendency for lions as they age for their noses to darken in color, and hers is almost completely black. You can see she's cleaning herself using those incredible spurs along the tongue to scrape through the fur, and if you look carefully you can actually see the grooves being left behind as she drags that tongue across that thick coat, picking up all kinds of ticks and parasites and dirt. Lions generally are not the most fastidious of creatures, but they do clean themselves and they clean each other's cubs. But with saliva like theirs, you can imagine it sort of does spread a great deal of bacteria onto their coat as well. Hello, gorgeous girl. Now, Liz, you wanted to know if the other females of the group have cubs, will they hold off on introducing them in order to basically make sure that their cubs are strong enough to deal with the rest of the pride? And yes, absolutely, that will be, sorry, let me just turn this down. There's a lot of noise happening in my ear. Yes, absolutely they will. So generally, unless I know, unless I know you know this, but for all of our new viewers, when a lioness has cubs, she actually hides them away for the first 6 weeks of their lives, and she does this for a very good reason. The life of a lion is not a gentle one, and particularly where older cubs are concerned, it does occasionally happen. If the lioness introduces her cubs too early to the rest of the pride, they could actually be killed by the sort of boisterous nature of some of the older cubs. Now, my suspicion is that if the lionesses, like the youngest lioness or Amber Eyes, do have cubs, my suspicion would be is that they might, it'll be difficult to tell because these cubs are now old enough to know better. They're a little bit more in control of their actions. But that being said, I think there's a good chance that the mother concerned might actually keep those cubs hidden a little bit longer. Maybe just that extra week. That will make all of the difference in the life of a lion cub. We've seen how fast they grow and how they develop in strength and coordination, and they just need to be able to deal with the actions of the other cubs as they try to play with them. And we've seen these mothers from the older lioness, protecting the cubs, as we've been fortunate enough with this particular litter of cubs, or this particular generation of cubs, to really follow the entire cycle of their lives and their introduction to the pride. And I know that Brent had that incredible sighting where the youngest set were introduced to the rest of the pride, and you could see how incredibly protective the mother was of them. And you'd find that would definitely be the case if a new set of cubs were to be introduced to this particular group. But lions are tough. They're incredibly tough. I've just noticed that Amber Eyes actually has quite a nasty limp. She's favouring her, what's the side? Left. I forgot my left from my right there for a second. Her left front leg has been injured in some way, but I don't think it's anything serious, and it's amazing how quickly these animals truly recover and heal from their injuries. She looks absolutely fine to me. It was probably an injury while they were hunting. Might even just be a slightly strained tendon. Hey girl, you'll see in a bit when she does get up and move. If she does get up and move, you'll see when she walks. It's just a little bit of a limp. I mean, remember when the cub all those months ago had that terrible limp and that injured hip? We were all so concerned about it, and it was absolutely fine. So Amber Eyes will be fine, but it's just amazing the resilience of these creatures, even from a very young age. But yes, if I were a lioness, I think I'd keep my cubs hidden away for a little bit longer. Now, Vulpine Wolf Girl, you wanted to know what breed of dog is equivalent to the size of a lioness. There isn't really one, to be honest. I mean, a bull mastiff might come close in terms of weight. These lionesses probably weigh, Amber Eyes and some of the bigger lionesses, like this older lioness, she probably weighs close to about 130, maybe even 150 kilograms. Not right now, because they look actually relatively empty-bellied, but probably at their fullest, close to 150 kilograms. That's over 300 pounds. That's a massive, massive animal. A Great Dane would probably be a good estimate in terms of height. They're roughly about the height of a Great Dane, maybe even slightly shorter. But just in terms of sheer bulk, there isn't really an animal, a dog breed that fully matches up to the dimensions of a fully grown lioness. But if we wanted to look at the cubs, now that's a different story. And that might have been what you meant, Vulpine Wolf Girl, in terms of cub size. So what dog breed would match up, roughly equate to the size of the cubs at the moment? The oldest ones are roughly the size of a... This is a difficult question. They're probably very solid. Maybe about a small... I'm saying Weimaraner because I have a Weimaraner, so I know how big she is and how much she weighs. So the oldest cubs are probably close to a small female Weimaraner. Maybe just a little bit shorter. Just a little bit smaller than a German short-haired pointer or the equivalent. And the youngest set of cubs are probably fox terrier-ish size. I'm going to have to brush up on my dog breeds. Actually, we should have been doing this all along, equating the lion cubs to dog breeds as they grew, from Chihuahua size to the size that they're at now. No, Weimaraner is a slight exaggeration. They're not quite that big, now that I see them standing up. I see one of them standing up. Not quite as big as a Weimaraner, although it probably weighs about the same. The cubs probably weigh, they're solid, stocky little creatures. That cub probably weighs close to 30 kilograms. Unbelievably strong. Going to see if it can try its luck with some milk from the milk bar. Very impressed with the lionesses that they're still lactating. It has been a time of plenty. What is happening in there? There's lots of movement going on in that weeping wattle tree. Oh, did you get stuck by any chance? Little bit. Maybe just a little bit. Okay. Out and unscathed. Going to investigate. Those are two of the oldest cubs. And they must be... Sure, how old are they now? 6 months. Close to. Just under 6 months old now. Time flies. Looking thoroughly in very good condition. Still scratching a little bit. Patchy bits around their elbows from the mange. Oh, little one. Oh, another scratch. At least they've got the claws for it, I suppose. Now I'm looking at them. I've just been watching the conditions that the lions are in. They don't seem to be all that full, and yet there must have been a kill here somewhere. Dave, were they on a kill this morning? They were on a kill. Was it a small kill? Was it
Relatively young buff.
relatively young buffalo? Okay, so they were on a kill this morning. Relatively young buffalo. Obviously, there's this many mouths to feed. It's not quite the same as when it was just the Nkuhumas feeding for themselves. Now, I don't know where the rest of that buffalo is, but it has certainly attracted the attention of many, many scavengers. Was it with you, Dave, that the the white-headed vulture was seen? I heard a report of a white-headed vulture. That was very cool. Was that here? Or was it? It was here. Ooh, that changes things. Yeah, I wonder if it's still around. That would be very exciting. What you doing, little one? Oh, those poor lionesses. It's so exhausting being a mom, and having these constantly active little creatures, or almost constantly active. Cat in Tampa, while we watch this little lion cub suckle, he wants to know if the lionesses, if the older cubs drink the milk, will the lionesses run out when it comes time for the younger cubs? And it's a difficult one. Yes, for the most part, the older cubs tend to have the advantage because they can actually fight off their younger siblings. Although we've generally seen it seems to resolve itself in after a bit of growling and fussing, quite an equanimical way, and that everybody gets a chance to suckle. But yes, the older lions and the older lion cubs, in the same way they do at kills, can monopolize a lot of the food, and obviously the females are not bottomless pits in terms of milk production. They can't just keep producing milk on tap. So if the older cubs do manage to drink most of it, then yes, the younger cubs won't have any. But then again, of course, by the time if any new cubs are born to Amber Eyes or the youngest lioness, by the time they are born, the chances are all of the other mothers will have stopped lactating. So it will be up to Amber Eyes, and if the youngest lioness falls pregnant, up to the youngest lioness to keep things going. I would think that with the bellies that they have at the moment, even though they have eaten this morning, I think there's still a very, very good chance that they could be up and about and hunting this evening, especially because it really looks as though it's going to storm. And I'm so excited. This particular October-November weather has been far better than last year. It has felt much more normal. So hopefully it does rain, which is, of course, perfect hunting weather for these lions. And apparently the weatherman is predicting that it is going to rain. I have my own weatherman. What do you think, Dave? Downpour Dave? Downpour Dave doesn't think it's going to rain. Ooh, spanner in the works, Dave. Going against the experts. Certainly has that hot, heavy stillness. I bet you the lions know. I bet you they are far more... I have no proof for that statement. It's supposition. But my suspicion would be is that most of the animals out here are aware of when it's actually going to rain. Certainly things like tortoises are out and about just before it starts to rain. This cub chewing on the dead Peltiforum. It's the type of tree that he's chewing on. lost that baby look to me. They don't have those sort of cub faces anymore. They look like little miniature lions now, particularly the older ones. These two at the back. I think it will be well worth spending the sort of last portions of our evening with this particular pride of lions. We will have to leave them in a couple of minutes. I think we'll go and see what else we can see. And of course, it's always nice after an extended absence from an area to go and explore and reacquaint oneself with that particular, or with what's happening around me. So I do want to go on a little bit of a bumble and then come back to these lions when I can. But we'll have a chance to see that, or we'll have a chance to do that a little bit later. I'm still really keen on seeing that white-headed vulture, though. I might go and have a look for it as well. I've been scanning the treetops while I've been sitting here. Cheers, guys. I've been scanning the treetops while I've been sitting here. I haven't seen it. It would be a first for me. I don't think I've seen a white-headed vulture in the Sabi Sands. I've seen them in Kruger, but I haven't seen them in the Sabi Sands. And there we go, all the cubs coming together. All in all, a thoroughly peaceful scene. Could not be more unconcerned. While we wait for our lion pride to get up and moving, it sounds as though Brent's wild dogs are thinking about doing just that. Let's head over and have a look at what they get up to.
Okay, so they are showing a bit of sign of getting moving. It's the right time of the day. As I said, they're crepuscular hunters, most active at dusk and dawn. So they should be getting moving shortly. Here we go, look at that, doing a bit of defleeing. Oh, look at that. I think he's becoming my favorite dog. What do you think, Brian? I really like those white spots on him. Now, here we go. Look at that. Very prominent spots. Snows. Spot the Impala. Spot the Impala. Oh, he's going the right direction. He's going towards the Impala. This is going to be very exciting if he sees those Impala. Now see, look at this. Almost to one side. Look how dark he is on the left. Dark, dark dog. He's almost a little Africa on his back leg. Maybe not quite in Africa, but Africa with a bit of imagination. Here we go. There we go, there we go. Next one coming through. This is the female who's coming to join him. Oh, they're going to go to the water. I'm going to get there. They might. I don't know if the elephants have splashed all that water away. Wild dogs are really fond of water. Oh, there you go. And mud, they like to cool down in it. There we go, look at that, isn't that wonderful? Wow, isn't this great? So a quick cool down before the hunt starts. Hi, Samantha. Samantha is wondering how big are wild dogs in comparison to a domestic dog. Weight-wise, probably not too much difference from a large Alsatian, but height-wise, they're a bit taller at the shoulder. And how many pups can they have? I think the record for wild dog pups that I know that I've seen is 22 in a single litter. They're heading straight towards where those Impala were. They haven't spotted them. The Impala have just sort of snuck a little bit further to the north. There's still one more male dog coming here. He comes. Joggity jog, jog, jog. Doesn't want to get left behind. He was the one who was sleeping under the bush. Now, they're capable of incredible stamina. Okay, now this is where following wild dogs becomes very tricky, and you've got to actually almost pre-guess what's going to happen, otherwise you can often lose them. So let's go. We don't want to get too far behind. We know there's Impala right there. Now we're going to see if the dogs see them. Their ears will go flat. They won't stalk like a lion, but they will try break their outline a little bit. They haven't spotted them yet, or have they? Look at that. Is his ears going flat yet? Yes, the ears are going flat. The ears are going flat. The Impala haven't seen them. Now there's zebra up ahead as well. Now zebras can be very aggressive animals, so look at that. See how flat that front dog's ears are. Look at her ears. She's keeping them right up against her skull. So that big satellite sort of radar dish isn't spotted by the potential prey up ahead. Wendy would like to know whether I've ever followed wild dogs hunting in a helicopter. Not yet. I'm hoping to one day. Look at that, look at that. This is so awesome. Doggies, 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 doggies. The Impala are just beyond them. The Impala still haven't seen them. There's a zebra in the road.